Marcus is going to show you some tools, how you can do M&E using Excel. So I'll leave you to Marcus.
Just testing the mic. Can you hear me okay at the back?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So, what I'm going to show you is, I just need to change the screens. So, one of the challenges with monitoring and evaluation is that you can collect the data, and you can collect the data using a whole wide range of different processes. You know, the information can come in on paper if that's easiest. The information can come in Word documents, and certainly you'll see tomorrow when I show the information that you've provided to Salima and myself as part of the survey prior to the workshop, most people are using Word and Excel. I think there was two or three people out of the 47 organisations that completed the pre-workshop survey that were using other tools. Everyone else was using Excel. So because most organisations in this room use Excel to capture their data, and most organisations are reasonably happy with that, was the feedback in the survey. We thought we would give you some easy to use tips and tricks to help you analyse and understand your data quickly. In the old days, when I was working with analysing the data, I used to have to print out the data, print out the spreadsheets, you do counts, you get your calculator out. But things have moved on significantly since those times. Even, I've got to admit, I'm a little bit old-fashioned. I've been using Excel 2003, only until recent years. I do work for a non-profit. And so I wanted to show you what some of the later versions of Excel can do to help you understand your data, to help you identify where you're getting really good outcomes, and to help you ensure that your staff have fair and reasonable workloads. So what I've done is we've created, there's a spreadsheet here which captures data from an employment program. So this program takes people into the program, and you can see that they have different, can you see okay up at the table at the back there? Do you want me to zoom it in a bit more? Can you read okay up there? Raise your hand if you can read what's on the screen. I will zoom it in slightly. Is that better? Are you able to see the screen now? It's okay now? Fantastic. So, this program takes people into the program. You can see their application date, you can see their name, we capture information about how old they are, because it's, depending on their age, it can be easier or harder to find them a job after they've been trained. Particularly if you're much older, so you'll see Vishal here is 62. He can be a little bit harder to find a job for, but even though he might have some excellent experience. We captured their gender. We were running the program in 4 separate locations, Colombo, Dhaka, Male and Kathmandu. And you can see here where they are through the program. So the first group have all completed. We've got a group here that are still in process. A couple of their applications have been rejected, and there's a few extras if I scroll down. Further, you'll see there's a few more that have applied but haven't yet started this program. Once they get accepted into the program, what happens is they get assigned an instructor. And you can see here, we've got Gillian, Salima's doing some good work, as well as myself, and once they've completed, we enter in the completion date, then we say whether or not they've found a job and what their weekly income is. So we're trying to track in this spreadsheet from when they apply to participate in the program, once they start getting the training, so that they're in progress, the status is in progress, what their location is, as well as when they've finished the program, whether they found a job, and what their weekly income was. We want to know, is it a better job or not? So that's the spreadsheet. That's the data that we are tracking for this program. Does anyone have any questions so far on what I've shown? Fantastic. So, what I would like to do is show you some simple tricks to better understand your data. Excel has a conditional formatting process, tool, which, as you can see there, it draws, Sal, do you have the clicker? It draws the eye very quickly to those weekly incomes where we're doing really well and where we're not doing very well. And so that's when you've got pages and pages, if you've got 200 or 300 applicants and you quickly want to see who's doing well, who's not doing so well, this conditional formatting tool within Excel is a very easy way of finding that, which is just found up under conditional formatting. I chose data bars and a gradient fill, but you can also choose a colour scale as well. Oops, if I click on the right section. So you can see there, it's a very simple way of bringing the eye, I'll just get rid of the other one. Very simple way of bringing the eye to which ones are going well, which ones are not going so well. And allowing you to understand your program data and see where am I getting those really good outcomes, where am I struggling, will mean that you can then focus your effort to make sure you get those really good outcomes all the time. Is that clear? Any questions on conditional formatting? Really easy when you've got large sets of data, all of a sudden, bang, you can see what's going on. So, I would quickly now just like to show you the filtering function. Again, to try and understand the people that are working through your program, if you're in charge of managing it and you're in charge of making sure that you get a good outcome, it's really important that you understand if it's a 2-year program, you want to know, are you on track at the 6-month mark? Are you on track at the 12-month mark? Because if you only find out 6 months before the program ends that no one's getting a job, you've got no time to recover. So, within the Data tab, there's a filtering function which can easily be turned on. And this lets you take a subset of the data so you can look and understand it in more detail. So for instance, let's say we only want to look at females. All of a sudden, only the female information is shown. Let's say if instead you only want to, all I really care about is Kathmandu. So I've suddenly filtered the data. So I might have taken it down from 300 separate rows, 300 items, and bang, I'm down to 50 or 60. I can filter that by male and female, and bang, I'm down to a manageable number of, let's say, 30 or 40 rows, which I can start to understand and see what's going on. So I know, for instance, that we've got, you know, only a couple in the program, one in the program, and 3 completed here in Kathmandu. But if I was worried about the workload of my instructors, or particularly, let's say Selima's working hard, she's often standing up in front of a group, I want to make sure she doesn't have too much on her plate, what I can do is filter by instructor. And I see that, for instance, she's completed 4, so at least there's nothing for her to do there. And but she's got 3 in the program, so maybe I don't want to assign her another participant until she's finished those 3. Right? Very simple way to filter your data and slice it so you can understand what's happening and how your program is going. Similarly, sometimes I get phone calls and people will say, well, sorry, and you want to, for instance, look at just certain locations. So you can use the sort function to sort by location. Again, use the sort function, you can all of a sudden sort by status. Again, so you can group those areas together so you can start to understand how many people you've got, how many have applied, there we go, how many have applied, how many are in the program, how many are completed, and look through all the details. What I want to show you now is some pivot table functionality, because pivot tables are the best way of summing your information. So, if I click on Insert, and I'll just pick a recommended pivot table, I will say the one thing with Excel, no, there's 2 important things with Excel. Number 1, give it a go. If you want to try something and learn something, just click on the button and see what happens. So long as you're working on a second version of your file, you can't break anything. You can always just go back to the previous version. Just create a copy of the file, and then you've got a backup, and then you can have a play, and if all of a sudden everything falls apart and you can't fix it, you just go back to the previous version. The best way of learning with Excel is to try something or search on the internet for something. Look it up on Google or Bing. Right? And that way, you will learn most of what you need to know without needing big, significant training or additional expertise. Most of what I've learned with Excel, I've learned by searching the internet. It's a very easy way when you think, I want to do something. So if you like pivot tables, look them up. So for instance, I'm going to start a recommended pivot table, and I'll just click OK. And what this one does is it's just summarised by location, how many people we have in there. If, for instance, it was just insert pivot table. If, for instance, I think I don't want to know by location, so I'll uncheck the location. I want to know by status. It's just done all the counting for me. No more I have to sit and do sums and put the pluses and calculators, or it just does it all instantly. It's like, I love it. If I want to know by instructor who's the busiest, if I want to add a filter, I can also add filters, or how many have found a job versus how many haven't found a job. Let's add that one in. Alright, so you can see there 3 haven't found a job, 5 have found a job, and 11 are blank. They're still running through the program. If, for instance, you wanted to, I'll go back to instructor, but you wanted to filter it and say, I only want to look at people participating in the program who are let's say male or female, we'll just drag it down to the filter area, and I can show me the numbers just for females. Show me the numbers just for males. Again, it all just updates itself. Very easy, very simple. And the nice thing about it is that, as you can see, I'm just clicking and dragging. It's, once you've done it once or twice, it's very easy to remember how to do this sort of work. It can also support you to do more advanced activities. For instance, one of the things I like to look at is, on average, how much do the applicants in my program earn by instructor? Which instructors work with the applicants to get a higher average wage? And I've just done that calculation. I did it very quickly. Again, drag and drop. So it's looked at all the lists, it's found all the people that got a job, it's taken the average of their weekly age, and I can see here that I have a lot of work to do. People that participate in my program are only earning $60 per week, US. Salima, not only can she stand up and explain theory of change to you, but she gets really good outcomes with the people that go through. That's what the data says. Very simple, very easy, very powerful. It's something that, if you're interested in this and you think it would be useful for you when you get back into the office, all you need is a spreadsheet, like I had. And all you need is the willingness to have a play with filters, with pivot tables, and with conditional formatting. And they're the three things, very, very easy. If you want to know more, there is lots of YouTube videos. I love a YouTube video for learning Excel. It's easy, I don't feel dumb, I can watch it by myself. And all of a sudden I just follow what the video says and I've done the same thing. Very much recommend those YouTube videos. I do want to show you one more thing though, because for this to work well, it's very important your data is clean. It's very important that you don't do things like this. That you don't put information in that doesn't match what you want, because then your analysis doesn't work well. So if whoever is putting the data in doesn't put in clean data according to what you need, what you can do is add data validation. And I'll show you how to do that now, to force people to only put data in the format that you want. So you can see, for instance, that at the moment I can put anything I like in the gender list. Let me just fix that. Now, to add data validation, we just highlight the area we want to add the data validation on, click on data, click on validation. And what I did previously, actually I'll show you, and this is what I often do. You can see here I've got a tab for data and I've got a tab for lists. If you go to the lists table, what I've done is I've set up, for those fields that only want certain information, I've set up gender can only be male or female, location must be one of those four, there's only 3 instructors, status must be one of these, job found yes or no. So that's the validated data that I want. So to force that, we go to data, data validation, and instead of allowing any value, I want to allow only a list, and the source is just male or female. Didn't take long, but now look. If I put something in there that's not in that list, I get told I can't put it in. If I want to, I've now got a pick list. Very easy for people to put the right information in now. I can add the same to location. Highlight the area I want to force, click on data, click on validation, change it to a list, tell it that the source is over here, and now all of a sudden I can't put Melbourne, which is where I come from, in. I can only put those areas that I've allowed. So I hope that has helped. It's giving you an insight. I know not all of you work with Excel, right? I know that some of you have other staff that work with Excel. But our reason for showing you this today is that if they're not doing their analysis this way, if they're doing it the way I used to do it a few years ago, sometimes with a calculator, sometimes with going plus, plus, plus on my Excel sheet, sometimes I couldn't do a filter, so I'd start sort of deleting rows so I could see what I wanted. If they're doing it the old way, you need to go back to the office and say to them, there is a much easier way. It's data validation, it's pivot tables, and it's filtering. And if you search for that on YouTube and watch a couple of videos and try it, and don't be afraid to try it and fail, then what you'll find is this will make a huge difference to your monitoring and evaluation. Much faster you will understand, are your programs on track? Are they having troubles in certain areas? Do we need to make some changes? And you'll get the outcomes that you want, where people get better jobs than what they had previously. Any questions before I keep moving on? Fantastic.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Marcus. So you see, there's so many things you can do with Excel. You know, I love Excel too. There's another thing that I love besides theory of change, Excel. So many things you can do. Even when you, there's so many things you can do with Excel. So if you don't have the funding at the moment to invest in the kind of M&E program that you want, when you can get it on the mobile phone, no problem. Excel to the rescue. There's so many things Excel can do, like what Marcus had shared. Pivot table, validation, and it will help for you. So just, I know it's a bit difficult to imagine, but so when you go back to the office, try, figure out, like what Marcus said, what, you know, it's not going to kill, it's not going to destroy your data, just play around with it. So on that note, we will, on that note, I think we will, we've completed today. So I just want to wrap up today. So what we have at the beginning of the day was, you have the market overview of Nepal, from Jasmine, from Brahim. So think about it. Nepal has a nice problem. It's a problem, but not as it is something that can be improved on. You already have 80% women in the workforce. It's now just making sure about giving them quality jobs. It is about giving formal work. And for many of the young men who are working in the Gulf area, who are remitting money, Again, it is about quality jobs for them. What can you do? Has a program intervention to bring about quality jobs. So we have that, and then we heard from Eliza, and we heard from Vijaya. What are some of the tips about writing your proposal? Now, those are all very practical tips. Just remember all the common mistakes, 10 common mistakes, and five tips on writing a good proposal. Very simple. And then we have the theory of change. How are you going to use the theory of change to design your program? Always remember, if your mission is to reduce poverty, you need to show how you reduce poverty. Your activities must show the number of quantity, how many times you're running these activities, what is the outcome you're going to bring about, the learnings, what is the change of action that you're going to bring about, and the condition that you'll be bringing about. So show this. Many of you talk about various farming, agricultural produce. Great thing about the supply chain, end to end. You know, where and how are these farmers going to sell the apple? Where and how are these farmers going to sell the garlic or the mushroom? Is this meeting the demands of the marketplace? Can you get a good price for it? Just now the question about the middleman that was raised. Oh, you know, this exchange, website exchange, also ask for a fee. Sure, a lot of exchange or middlemen ask for a fee, but the good thing is, if the farmer has a few options, of course the farmer can choose the best option. Which one charges the lowest fee? Do I go to the traditional guy that I've been using, Mr. say, John? Okay, John is not really a Nepalese name. Okay, some traditional middlemen that I've been using for decades and decades. Or do I look like, oh, there is this on the website, the farm, they are going to bring my produce as a farmer to the hotel in Kathmandu or to the schools in Kathmandu. Maybe you can do the comparison. John charges maybe 10%, but this internet exchange guy who's running it, they are charging maybe 5%. So there's an option. When you have option, you give your farmers the option, they can decide. It's very empowering. So we do that. So remember about doing end-to-end, and also having a few prompts, not just training. If let's say you're doing training for a job, do job matching or policy change for policy. Or the other point that was brought up by this table that was very good too, doing marketing communication to show that, hey, farming is actually a job with dignity. You are planting the seed of the soil, the seed that becomes a tree. It's a job that really requires respect and dignity. So that's also good. So these are the things that we need to think about. And then after the theory of change, we talk about stories. We have always been telling each other stories. Your grandmother, your sisters, your mother, all of us tell each other stories. In fact, after this, you might be calling your friend to talk about stories on the phone, chat, anything. So just remember, write a story about one of the person in your program, a success story. A hero, there must be human struggle, conflict, problem, cry, sex, a very sad climax, then the solution. That we've heard a few. Then your program is the solution. So you show the result. And last, we talk about M&E, right? M&E is about showing data. Your result, qualitative and quantitative. You must have both. You must have numbers, you must have percentage, you must have all of that to back your stories, to back your presentation. And the good thing is, all you need is just an Excel spreadsheet, really, to come up with this program, to measure your result. Very simple. Make sure your data, your metrics, M&E metrics are also very simple, nothing too difficult, a few indicators of your core activities. If you cannot remember your indicator, it's probably too much, it's too many. So keep it only a few core indicators. So voila! You edit by today, right now, you can already come up with your proposal. A little bit, you will learn a bit more tomorrow. An idea of writing your own proposal, your own personal stories for your website. How are you going to communicate your data? So you're already halfway there. You have one more day, but you're halfway there. And what we will do is tomorrow, we will hear about funding options. What are the various funding options for you? Where are you going to get the money? What are the various ways that you can get the money?